Numerous outstanding questions about the nature of this $1.3 billion worth of payments. So as Blake just said, not known if this $1.3 billion were in hard cash. What Blake just told you is true. These amounts were broken up in smaller payments of just under $100 million each, along with a final payment of about $10 million. For his thoughts on what this means, former Governor Mike Huckabee is with me. Great to see you, Governor. Do you know of a reason why the Treasury Department kept these individual transactions under $100 million each? Why they were broken down like that?
Well, there's obviously some attempt to try to obscure a reporting, whether it's to Congress or on the Daily Record. I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But the one thing that is very clear is that this stinks. This whole thing, it stinks worse than 49th Street after a 2-week garbage strike in New York on a hot August day.
That's very mean, Governor, because
absurd.
Sometimes we have those conditions here. But I take that very much to brain and to nose. We do know that this $400 million payment was in cash, which already there's a lot of people who find that odd. But we don't know if this 1.3 made it through a more regular banking system, because there is a way to go through different mechanisms. But aside from the stench, does one form indicate a broader concern to you than another, meaning traditional banking mechanism versus cash?
Not really, because I still think that the absurdity is that we paid $1.3 billion for a $400 million supposed payment that was obligated, and that was the interest over that period of time. I mean, that's like loan sharking. And look, it still ought to rankle every American that we paid this to the Iranian government under the Ayatollahs that financed Hamas, Hezbollah, kidnapped and killed Americans. They were responsible for the funding of a lot of the military action that has caused a lot of American soldiers to be wounded and dead. Why are we giving them any money? It's not just how much and what the interest rates are. It's that we should have shut off any obligations whatsoever to the Iranians once the Ayatollahs took power, kidnapped Americans, held them hostage for a solid year, and then have been funding terrorism, the world's largest funder of terrorism, over the past 35 years. This is an outrage, and I don't understand what the Obama administration thinks that it owes the Iranians other than it owes to us some obligation to make sure that they don't ever have nuclear capacity that they're just crazy enough to use.
Governor, backing up exactly the point that you just made, Fox is confirming right this minute 4 Iranian boats came within 300 yards of a U.S. Navy destroyer that was in the Strait of Hormuz. So we just settled this old score that was supposed to clear old debts, and there are many people who are saying this is the thanks that we get for cleaning the slate.
They have no respect for us. They have no respect for the rule of law. They have no respect for life. These are murderers and thugs, and they've practiced this kind of barbarian behavior since they took power. They've murdered their own people. Remember the Green Movement back in 2009, when they were taking 22-year-old women and killing them in the streets and the blood running down the sidewalks. This is not a government we should feel any obligation to give money to. Zero. In fact, we should have said, you know, kind of like Charlton Heston with the gun. You'll get this gun when you pried from my cold, dead fingers. And what we should have said is, you'll get that money when you pried from our cold, dead fingers. But there's going to be one heck of a gunfight before you ever get that close. I just think it's absurd. It's an insult to the rule of law and to human decency.
Governor, I thank you as always for your thoughts. Governor Mike Huckabee.
Thank you, Deidre.